Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey, and today we're going to tackle some of my aardvark book box TBR. So first of all, I hope you excuse me for the sound quality, the lighting in here. I have to go into work now because I'm a working mama, and sometimes I have to record videos here. Okay, guys, like hopefully you don't mind. Second, because of that, I'm not lugging all the books that I read for the introduction and outro for these videos, so I hope you don't mind if I'm inserting a couple of photos here. If you don't know what the aardvark book box is, it is a book box service. Every single month they have new releases and you're able to pick one book with the credit you receive, and you can always like have add-ons. The reason that this book box interested me so much is because they focus primarily on like horror and science fiction and fantasy. So like that is all the book subjects, book genres that I really like. So obviously this book box appealed to me. Having add-ons every month for fairly cheap, that's also interesting me. So my TBR from this book box has grown exponentially. Am I reading them monthly like I think technically you're supposed to? No. What I ended up realizing is that a lot of the aardvark books I have on my TBR, I also had the author's debut novel, which I think is so exciting and fun to like compare both the debut to their most recent release, which is what I got in the aardvark book box. So that is where the idea for this video came from, and I chose two authors. So this video will feature Natural Beauty and Immaculate Conception, both by Ling Wang, and then Mary and When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. So I'm very excited to get into this video, and I'll send you back to Kelsey 2 weeks ago, and we'll come back at the end. Hello, welcome to the first clip of this vlog. I'm so excited to be finally starting it. I've had this idea for a bit of time now, so it's really exciting to like get into it. But I did start our first book, which is Natural Beauty by Ling Wang, and I got 1/3 of the way through, which is about 80 something pages. I am technically on page 90, chapter 12. This is Ling Wang's debut novel, and it follows our main character who used to be a pianist at a conservatory in New York City. She employs a technique she learned from her parents, who were also talented musicians who fled China in the wake of the Cultural Revolution. But when an accident leaves her parents debilitated, she abandons her future for a job at a high-end beauty and wellness shop in New York. The store Holistic is known for its remarkable products and procedures, and her new job offers her an entry into a world of privilege and gives her a long-awaited sense of belonging. She becomes transfixed by Helen, the niece of Holistic's charismatic owner, and the two strike up a friendship that hazily veers into more. I know that there's something more sinister going on, but where we are in the first third, all of that has happened. So we have a gist into our main character's relationship with her parents, how she grew up in this like piano loving family, and how she is remarkably skilled at playing the piano. She gets this job at Holistic because I think the manager or like part owner of Holistic sees her at a restaurant, recognizes her and her hands, and is like, "You are the talented pianist from the conservatory. You must come work at Holistic and, shape these hands, have these hands perfected." So she takes the job there. I'm liking it so far. I think the level of sinister that is like in the book itself is like of my own making. I don't necessarily believe that anything sinister has happened so far. What we're really just getting is her joining the company, the like procedures that they use to like keep their employees happy, the sorts of procedures that they're able to do for people, the creams that they sell, that sort of thing. And then also our main character's relationship with Helen. We've just briefly started into her relationship and how it is developing into a very intense friendship, I could say, at least for right now. And one thing has happened that is not the most sinister, but because I know this is a horror novel, it obviously has more sinister intentions. But this bracelet that our main character has on her body from Holistic, which is supposed to like remind her to take her supplements and whatnot, also tracks the way that she's feeling. And one of the members of her team was like, "Hey, you've been pretty like anxious lately. What's going on? Come in, and come, literally come, so that you could be happy." And I was like, "Oh, okay. That's what I'm reading now." So I can't say it hasn't been intriguing. I'm very interested to see how this continues. I have to go pick up my son in the next like 10 minutes. I'm going to leave, but we're just going to be having some leftovers tonight, maybe ordering something if I don't feel like eating the leftovers. But I did make a really good pasta yesterday, so I might have that again. So I don't need to go grocery shopping or cook really, so I can come back and maybe get another third of this before I have to put my son to bed. so then I can update you later. That's the goal. Hello, please ignore my sweaty hair. We just went for a walk and it is so hot outside, which is I love. I got another third of the way through Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Wang. I have this last third of the way left, so I just want to update this vlog so that I can get it going and finish it today because I'm definitely going to. It is a very fast read. I'm enjoying it because it's easy to read. Our main character is intriguing and the situation that she has set herself up in is intriguing, but I don't feel like anything really exciting has happened in the book yet. So because this book gets such good reviews from people that I trust, people that I follow on social media, I feel like something wild is going to happen in the last third. There have been wild things and there has been like a development about the association that she works for. And like obviously there's this eeriness and like something is amiss behind the scenes and they know more about our main character than they let on. So there's obviously this like okay, there's some ulterior motive for having her work for Holistic. So all of that is very intriguing. I just would say that nothing super crazy wild has happened yet, but there are a lot of discussions about natural beauty and there is discussions about changing things about her Asian heritage or her Chinese heritage that Holistic wants to do for her, and giving her a like white name is the beginning of that, which just recently happened. I'm enjoying it. I won't say that I'm like super captivated by it, but I'm hoping that the ending will be really wild because I do want to enjoy it. For supper tonight, I am ordering pad thai. I'm so excited. My baby's going to have grilled shrimp. We'll see. He's in a like food averse era. It's when a toddler realizes that they have like rights, so they refuse to eat anything that is like good for them or healthy for them. Very normal. They're learning to like push against like rules and stuff. It's just very frustrating because I'm like, can you just eat healthy, please? So yeah, I'm going to order that pretty soon. I'm going to continue listening to Natural Beauty, and I'll probably have an update for you maybe later tonight. And hopefully we can start the next book in this book. Hello, so we're gonna try to do this quickly because my baby is sleeping and I don't really want to wake him up because he's been having really rough days. I think it's a mix of like teething. I think he has a little bit of a cough, so he's really not sleeping well. I don't want to ruin his slumber because he has been sleeping, so we're gonna try to talk as low as possible, but still eloquent enough for you to understand me. Not off to a good start, but off to a good start for this vlog because, well, I don't know. I did finish Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Wang and I ended up giving this a 3.5 stars. I think you could tell by the way I was feeling that this did not feel quite like a 4 stars for me, but it definitely wasn't a mundane read, which is usually reserved for my 3 stars. I found this to be a really interesting look at the expectations of societal beauty standards and the whitewashing of what society deems beautiful within these types of standards. The last third I find is where this message truly rings home because it's blending with this like really interesting weird girl horror, which has quickly become a like unofficial genre of horror that I love. The body horror featured in here and the descriptions surrounding like some of the rituals that Holistic uses were really gross. I was like spiritually gagging, and there were even certain moments where I couldn't believe what I was reading. Like I couldn't believe specifically the like ending transformations, and if you've read this book then you know, but I do think the first 2/3 are really make or break type of read for readers. I think the setup is enjoyable for the most part and it is upkeeping this like eerie sense of atmosphere, but for 244 pages, this book took me so long to read because I really wasn't vibing with that first part. I think the plot, or the setup for the plot rather, feels so drawn out that it became really tedious to follow. And so I didn't quite enjoy it as much as I wanted to. We're going to move into Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Wang, and I really hope I love it. So per the purpose of this vlog, we're going to be reading the newest release from Ling Ling Wang. I got this from Aardvark. As you can see, it's an Aardvark book, and I think this was the first book I ordered from Aardvark. So that's really exciting. I'm finally getting to it. I do think this might be a book I might enjoy more because it is tackling like AI. So this follows two characters, Enka and Mathilde. Enka meets Mathilde in art school and is instantly drawn to her. Mathilde makes art that feels truly original, and Enka, trying hard to prove herself, pours everything into their friendship. But when Mathilde's fame and success causes her to begin drifting away, Enka becomes desperate to keep her close. Enter Scaffold, purported to enhance empathy. I don't even think I've ever heard of that word, purported. This cutting edge technology could allow Enka to inhabit Mathilde's mind and access her memories, artistic inspirations, and deep seated trauma. Undergoing this procedure would link Enka and Mathilde forever. But at what cost? This sounds interesting. I'm really hoping, because it is the second published novel, that the maybe issues I had more with like the plot pacing and whatnot will be a bit more tight in this one. And the premise sounds really interesting. It's sort of reminded me of like Yellowface by R.F. Kuang in a way. If you've read that, then maybe you feel the same. But I'm going to be starting this now. I hope I won't take as long. This vlog is going to end up taking me a bit more longer than I want. So tomorrow I'm going to wake up and possibly film my summer TBR. That could be the video that goes up this week instead. But I just had such a busy week. If you saw my last few vlogs, I've been working on this really big report. It's finally done, so I can focus a bit more on like menial tasks at work. And when I can focus on menial tasks, I can focus on audiobooks. So that's going to be really fun. I'm hoping that I can finish this quickly. I think for right now, I'm going to be listening to some reading sprints, and maybe organizing my summer TBR so that I have that ready to go and to be filmed tomorrow. Hello, so I'm going to have to talk a little low because my son is sleeping, and also my partner is sleeping. We've had a very busy day today, but while my partner sleeps, a bitch does not, because we have some reading to do. I got about 1/3 of the way through Immaculate Conception so far, and much like with Natural Beauty, a lot of this first third is really just describing where our character is at, keeping up with this like eerie atmospheric. You're wondering what's going on, but you're not 100% sure. Is it mundane? Is there something creepy going on? That's really where we're at this point in 1/3 of the way through the book, and I think it was the same for Natural Beauty. So we're following our main character, Enka, who was in art school, and her best friend Mathilde was also in this art school with her. Mathilde is an extremely talented performance artist, and a lot of her art is like acclaimed and well respected by the art community, whereas Enka has had more of a troubling beginning and does not have the same rate of success with their art pieces as Mathilde does. What Enka has been successful at is finding a husband. This is a boy who is the son of the people who've provided her with a scholarship. He's taken interest in her and asked her to help him do some art pieces for his technological company, and her art pieces have done pretty well. And Logan, her fiance, now husband, is the, I guess, like creator of the scaffold, which is, if you remember from the synopsis, the thing that Enka uses to get closer to Mathilde. We are not at that point in the book, but we are at the point where Enka is planning her wedding to Logan, and her and Mathilde have sort of drifted apart, but she calls her to invite her in the wedding. That's one timeline. That's where we're at in that timeline. There's another timeline called Now, where Mathilde is missing. We have no idea where she is, and at the same time that this is going on, there is some sort of art show that Enka is attending with her married family, with her in-laws. That's it so far. So I have a goal to potentially listen to maybe another third tonight. I have to go to work tomorrow. I don't know how much I will read at work, if I read at work at all. If I will update you at all tomorrow, it will likely be at nighttime again. So far, I think I'm more intrigued with this synopsis, so I hope that I end up enjoying this more than Natural Beauty. But regardless, I think I can say Ling Wang is an author I want to like keep my eye out for their next novel. So that's the good thing so far. That's what I'm learning. Hello, it's been a very long time since I last updated you. We had my sister-in-law's wedding this weekend, so it was a really big event for the family. I drank so much at the wedding, but like, okay, not in like, obviously I still have my child, right? So it wasn't a lot. I didn't feel drunk at all. Went to bed, slumbering, felt good. Yesterday I felt like death. reincarnated. And when you feel like death reincarnated with a baby, it's like an extra unlockable level of hungover that I was not prepared for. So yesterday, despite wanting to finish Immaculate Conception, I didn't read a single freaking page. I can't emphasize enough how much I felt like that. But today we're feeling a lot better. I did take the day off because I woke up with a bit of a sore throat and congestion. And so like I want to just like relax today and not worry about work in order to like hopefully not make it worse so that I could work for the rest of the week. Since I last updated you, I did get another third of the way through Immaculate Conception. And I have to say that this last third was far more interesting to me, even though I don't think a lot of these science fiction-y, horror-y elements really developed in this last third. Something that I noticed is that a lot of her like horror aspects are really, really, really coming to fruition in the last third of the book. And I think that that can be a very effective narrative choice, narrative style, but it's not something that I particularly enjoy. Like, I want there to be more eeriness, more to the horror or science fiction elements that she's sort of letting on. What happened in this last third is really more diving into their adulthood and Enka and Matilda's friendship in adulthood and how it is like affecting their work styles, their relationships. Enka is married to the son of the people who gave her a scholarship, who took a chance on her. The son is the one who is developing this like, what's it called? Scaffold? Yeah, scaffold, which is the technology that enhances or allows for someone to take over the feelings or the sadness from another person. Matilda in this book is also heavily described as depressed. She experiences the loss of her parents, the loss of a baby. So there's a lot going on here that affects Matilda's mental health. Matilda is being paid by Enka's in-laws to be able to create art for museums and whatnot. They're working sort of as her managers. And if she's not doing well emotionally wise, they are sort of putting their money on the line because she's not able to create the artworks at the speed at which they are expecting her to. From what I understand, Enka and Matilda are going to go into this scaffold technology. They're going to implant it into their brains. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. This is definitely going to be a wild third, especially with this buildup of their friendship, of the love that they have for one another, but also these expectations of her in-laws on both Enka and Matilda. Very excited. I hope it's a breakneck speed. My plan is to now make a coffee because I have the day off. I would really, I always say this, and I know it's the bane of my existence, and it probably won't happen. I would really like to finish Immaculate Conception and start our next author and really get like at least 2/3 of the way through that book as well. Heavy goals, especially because I want to go to the gym and I want to go for at least an hour. We'll see. I think I can do it, but I always think I can do it and then I never do it. So wish me luck. Hello. So I wanted to come to you with an update on me being like far into our third book actually. But I did not quite get there before I want to go to the gym. And then right after the gym, I'm going to leave. So I wanted to get this done before my son and partner are home because I did in fact finish Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Wang and I gave it 4 stars. And I think it was really apparent in the updates as well, but I did enjoy this slightly more than Natural Beauty. Partly, I think this is due to the commentary on technology and how it has or does not have place in art and whether or not they can coexist. And I am having a very, very hard time with AI, with the advancement in technology and how it's interfering with the creation of human art. And so I think that that sort of not really large discussion, but that sort of small discussion was very appealing to me. And just the concept of art being involved with technology. I found the discussion surrounding what makes an artist and therein by what makes the art itself meaningful or groundbreaking compared to the average person, like what makes them different. Was it the trauma that Mathilde went through, or was she simply just talented from the beginning? Because we see that with Enka, how she has to, it feels like she's scraping upon anything to give her the satisfaction of being an artist. Mostly, however, I did find that Enka as a main character was the most appealing aspect of this book. She was so interesting to follow because she was so desperate to be adored. The links of what she was doing, where she was going, the ways in which she was trying to convince herself that she was a good person was starting to convince me. Like, I was on board with her antics. I was like, yeah, she does care about Mathilde. I think much like with Natural Beauty, I do believe Huang has an issue with pacing that maybe does not bother a lot of people, but definitely the way that she paces her books bothers me. I don't like when things are like a grand finale in the last third. Doesn't necessarily feel the best built up throughout the book. I really feel like the last thirds of both of her books shoehorn a lot of the like horror-y or more thrillery aspects. But otherwise, I find much like with Natural Beauty, her book plot ideas are very interesting. So like I said, 4 stars. I'm a little disappointed by both the books I read from Ling Ling Wong, this one definitely being the winner, but I think I was expecting her to be a new favorite author, and that's just not the case yet. So of course, as I mentioned, I did in fact move into Mary by Nat Cassidy. Nat Cassidy is an author that I read one book from with Nestlings. Really enjoyed it. I read it for my Professor Kelsey's book club rip because I enjoyed Nestlings a lot, or I liked the concept of what Nat Cassidy was doing with Nestlings with the like motherhood postpartum psychosis. I found that to be really interesting, and this one tackles premenopausal psychosis, which I think could be really interesting. I read the author's note at the beginning, so we're taking very, very, very much inspiration from Stephen King's Carrie here, but it follows our main character, Mary, who is a quiet middle-aged woman doing her best to blend into the background. Unremarkable, invisible, unknown even to herself. But lately, things have been changing inside Mary. Along with the hot flashes and body aches, she can't look in the mirror without passing out, and the voices in her head have been urging her to do unspeakable things. Fired from her job in New York, she moves back to her hometown, hoping to reconnect with her past and inner self. Instead, visions of terrifying, mutilated specters overwhelm her with increasing regularity. She begins auto-writing strange thoughts and phrases. Mary discovers that these experiences are echoes of an infamous serial killer. Then the killings begin again, and Mary's definitely going to find herself. So far, I'm enjoying it. It's very, very reminiscent of Stephen King. Like, I definitely see Nat Cassidy taking Stephen King as an inspiration. I find Mary to be this very like meek and quiet individual who was bullied, and that bullying transcends into her personality today. Very akin to Carrie. So I'm going to continue listening to this. Like I said, I'm going to go to the gym right now. I'm probably going to come straight back upstairs from the gym and go straight to doing some chores, returns, and whatnot before I have to pick up my son. So I don't know when I'll next update you. Hopefully, I can get another third in before my partner comes home, even if my son is here. I don't want to listen to it at the gym. I don't really like listening to audiobooks at the gym. I feel like I really need to like boom, 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 boom. Like I need intense music to really get me in the vibe of working out. Maybe I'll listen to it when I'm like doing my errands and shopping. I don't know. We'll see. You will know later. I wanted to give a quick update on Mary. I don't know where the book is, I just realized. I am really, really, really enjoying it. Something I love about Nat Cassidy is that he is so good at creating a really spooky atmosphere with a completely unreliable character. I think he nails like common misogynistic fears in women so well. In Nestlings, it was really like a postpartum mom, and she was being not believed because, like, obviously, postpartum is extremely, you feel crazy as someone who went through it as well. And so it was completely believable to me that, like, no one would believe this woman saying that there's vampires in the building, you know? And we're getting the same thing here with a menopausal woman. In and of herself is a bit eccentric. She talks to her toy dolls. So, like, you know, we're also meant to understand that she is a little bit kooky. But she's being dismissed as well at the doctors because she is premenopausal. The term she's using a lot in the book is textbook. Everything that she's going through is pretty textbook. She is meant to see things, and she is meant to like question her reality, and she's experiencing hot flashes. She's not sleeping. She's seeing delusional things because that is all textbook for menopausal reactions. It's like, is something going on around her, or is it the menopause? Is a really, really interesting vibe to read from, and I'm enjoying it. I like Nat Cassidy's writing a lot. I think it reminds me, it's like a mix of like Grady Hendrix and Stephen King. I think there's a lot of descriptions that really lend towards a Stephen King sort of narrative, and it's very flowy, very easy to read, which is very akin to Grady Hendrix. All of that in total is making me really like it. The mystery is really, really spooky. We are getting these like presumed murdered women that our main character Mary is seeing. And again, she's not sure if what she's seeing is real or is part of the menopause. And it's getting worse because she is now back in her hometown, where we are led to believe that these murders take place. We are led to believe that Mary has at least some sort of larger connection to it. I'm going to eat my pasta salad now. I made it with lentil pasta, so, you know, extra fibrous. And I'm going to, I think, watch a couple of YouTube videos and then get back into Mary by Nat Cassidy. Hello. So I'm about to go on another walk for the day. I've walked now 3 times. I went this morning. I went when I was at the gym after some weightlifting, and I'm going to go for another mini walk again before I have to pick up my son and, get ready for dinner, play with my son, do all the fun things after. So I wanted to talk to you because I only have 1/3 left of Mary, and I'm really, really, really enjoying this. I think the writing style is still a bit too Stephen King for me, and I don't know how best to describe it because while I enjoy Stephen King's books, I find his books very, very difficult sometimes to immerse myself in. Like, they make me feel like I'm reading a book, and I would say the same for this book. I definitely feel like I'm reading a book. I'm being told a story. Even though I think I'm very immersed, I'm really appreciating Mary as a character. I feel like I understand Mary's motivations. I understand what's going on in the town. I feel like I'm there. So I'm still very immersed, but I'm immersed in a way of like when I'm watching a movie. I feel like I understand the story. I'm there, but I am consuming something, not necessarily being consumed by something. I hope you catch my drift. So, what I mean to say is that I don't necessarily think that this will be a 5 star, but I am really, really enjoying the horror, and I like where this book has turned in the second third. I don't want to get too much into spoilers as to where it has gone, but the element of which Mary has sort of instilled herself in the town and how the town has become interested in her is very interesting. And it's making me wonder how the last third could possibly go on, how it could possibly end. I'm still wondering if all of this is, in fact, in Mary's head, or if this idea of both being true will continue, or if we're going to go down more of this like concrete, absolutely, this is horror route. I find Mary to be one of those characters that you don't necessarily like, but you enjoy following. And that's definitely how I feel about Mary. I know, and sorry to her, and I know this is one of her main problems in the book, but if I interacted with her in real life, I too would find her weird. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to her. There is a reason why, and we learn it in the second third, but I would find her weird. Sorry. Is she interesting to follow? Yes. I'm definitely going to continue with this tonight. On my walk, however, this is like just a side note, but I have been listening to Mocha by Monica Kim, which is Monica Kim's second book. I really like Monica Kim, and I find her books to be really easy to read slash listen to, which is why I've been listening to it on my walks. And I only listen to it obviously when I go on my walks outside, so it's like 20 minutes here and there. I don't think I'm going to be finishing it today, but possibly tomorrow, which could be really fun. But yeah, it's supposed to be like 30 degrees outside, so I don't even know if I'm going to change. I think I'm just going to keep my outfit from the gym, my sport tank top and my sport shorts. But I am very excited to go for this walk because I just love walking in the heat, listening to my audiobook, and I'm going to come home and get my second shift of being a mom started. Hello. So it is quite late in the day. I had a lot of meetings this morning. I finished another book that I was taking out for my walks, which was Mocha. I spoke to you about it yesterday. Really liked it. But I did also finish Mary by Nat Cassidy last night. So this is Nat Cassidy's debut book. And I'm happy to say I did still enjoy it. I did give it a 3.5 though, because I have some reservations. So I am very much, as we could tell by this vlog, but also the books that I tend to like, very much a lover of women's wrongs, and this book was no exception. I find it incredible how this is the second book that I've read from Nat Cassidy, and it is the second time that I find him to write the struggles of women so thoroughly. I really enjoyed how this was inspired by Carrie, a tribute to Carrie, and you can definitely see King's inspiration really ingrained within this book. I definitely find Nat Cassidy's writing style, specifically in this one, but I think also in Nestlings, now that I think about it, to be very akin to King. And saying that, I really enjoyed reading a middle-aged version, sort of Carrie. The discussions in the book surrounding our characters' perimenopausal struggles were really difficult to read from as a younger woman who will eventually be there, but also added a really interesting element when paired with the paranormal. Saying that, I do think, and this is where one of my reservations comes in, I do think the paranormal element sort of lost me for a little bit when it started to become too much of the focus of the book and less about like Mary's internal struggles. And because of that, I found the last third of the novel to really drag on. Not to mention that being in the head of someone incredibly insecure as Mary for that long started to become really grating. I think if Nat Cassidy shaved off some of the novel's more repetitive moments, it would have worked far more for me, but given what it is, I gave it a 3.5 stars. Still a really good review. Still something I really, really enjoy and recommend. Because of that, it did not stop me from going into our last book of the vlog, which is When the Wolf Comes Home by, of course, Nat Cassidy. This was the second book I picked for that first Aardvark book box I took a part of. And I bought it because I figured that Nat Cassidy was just an author that I was going to like. So this follows Jess, a struggling actress who finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. After a violent, bloody encounter with the boy's father, she and the boy find themselves running for their lives. As they attempt to evade the boy's increasingly desperate father, horrifying incidents of butchery follow them. At first, Jess thinks she understands what they're up against, but she's about to learn that there's more to this surreal and grisly events than she could have ever imagined, and that when the wolf finally comes home, no one will be spared. So already I am not that far in. I'm only 28 pages in, but we are getting a gist that there is obviously a paranormal aspect given that it is a horror novel, specifically with the boy's father potentially being a werewolf. That's where I think it's going. Obviously, the boy previous to finding Jess found a book of fairy tales, and one of those fairy tales is the Little Red Riding Hood. So he's associating, I think, his trauma and his relationship with his violent father to be that of Little Red Riding Hood and a werewolf. Obviously, because it's not Cassidy, the dad will actually be a werewolf, but I'm excited to see how it moves forward. And so far, I am enjoying it. The writing, again, I'm noticing is very akin to something I'm seeing with Stephen King. It's very factual, very like descriptive in nature, and something that I am enjoying listening to. I was going to go to the gym for a leg day, but I'm finding a lot of happiness with like more cardio based workouts. I used to be very much into lifting, and I find since having my son, getting to the gym is a lot harder for me than just simply like walking. And so I'm going to try to just walk today. It's not something I'm really into. Tomorrow I have to go to work, so I think that might be a part of it, that I don't want to do leg day and then like be at work struggling to walk. So I think I'm just going to go for another like 25-minute walk before I have to go grocery shopping and then pick up my son. Tonight we're doing unstuffed peppers, which I love. I don't like the idea of cutting into a pepper. I have a very weird relationship with peppers, and I'm just starting to get over it. And I'm starting to like peppers again, or like crave peppers again. So I want to like eat as much peppers as possible before maybe I get the ick again. And unstuffed peppers doesn't have me like cutting into the pepper and like feeling the skin, which I think is what I don't like about peppers, is that like skin, that flimsy skin, because I also don't like cooked tomatoes for that reason. I think it's the skin that really bothers me. And when the pepper's chopped up in a bowl, I don't notice it as much. So now that I'm done my walking audiobook, I think because I want to get this vlog out and finish this vlog, I'm going to be listening to When the Wolf Comes Home. I don't really have any other audiobooks that I'm really interested in reading. Hopefully, I can get another third of the way through on the walk, and maybe I'll update you before I leave for grocery shopping, picking up my son, blah, blah, blah. Hello, so I'm coming to you after my walk, and I did get 1/3 of the way through When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I don't even know where to begin. First of all, I can tell you that I'm loving this book the most out of all of the books I read for this vlog, which is saying something because I find they were all really, really, really good. But I knew within the first 100 pages whether or not I was going to consider them a 5 stars. And with this one, it's really up there. It's really up there, especially because something has been revealed at the end of this third that I think really changes the game for my expectations on the novel, but also where I see this novel going and its appeal to me specifically. Naturally, I like werewolves, so I was going to enjoy this no matter what. But there is something that happens in this first third that I don't really want to spoil, because I really, really, really do think it changes how you are going to feel about the book. I think it's a really, really great twist that occurs in the first third. I'll say that it has something to do with the idea that governments experimented on children in their youth or in the womb of their mothers, and how these projects were sort of abandoned and these children are left to their own devices. There's something that occurs along those lines with the boy that Jess, our main character, finds. First of all, I have to say, Jess had a roommate named Kelsey who died in the first 50 pages. A little bit rude. I was uncomfortable hearing my name said multiple times in my ears, but then when she died, I was like, RIP Queen. What happened to her? She just provided a gun. But aside from that unfortunate demise of my namesake, Jess has also been a really interesting character to follow. She's naturally trying to succeed in the world in LA as a struggling actor. And now she is also struggling with trying to be a person of help and safety for this young boy that she doesn't necessarily understand, who in turn has some issues in his backlog that she really doesn't understand. Or rather, I think she understands him better, but she doesn't just know it yet. Because she's an actor, she's able to like pretend and perform. And I think that that makes for a really interesting dynamic with a child who needs someone to pretend and perform. I would say that I think the writing in the beginning was falling into this like very Stephen King descriptive sort of narrative that I think is lost now, but we gained a really fast paced and fun writing that I am enjoying a lot more. It's less slow than Mary was. And I think that's going to make for me enjoying this more because I already like how Nat Cassidy builds his characters and their perspective. So I think that paired with a fast plot is really going to hit home for me. I have about 20 to 30 minutes before I need to leave the house. So I'm going to continue listening to this while I do so. But this is really exciting. I think it's proving to be a really, really fun read. And wouldn't it be wonderful to end the vlog on such a wondrous note? Hello. I have to make my way to work this morning, but I wanted to give you a quick update on When the Wolf Comes Home. Still really liking it, still really enjoying it. Right now, what's making me really emotional is obviously the discussions of taking care of a child, how the way that you raise a child affects them later on in life. So Jess is a prime example. She has a terrible relationship with her father, a very good one with her mother. And you see the way that her mother has tried to shape Jess into like a well-to-do citizen. And now Jess and the little boy who they've named Kiddo, because he didn't have a name, are on a journey to Jessa's uncle's house. You can see how Jessa is struggling with potentially like interacting with someone related to her father who she doesn't have a good relationship with, and how bringing this child and having him tag along, she doesn't need to protect him, but there's this overwhelming sense that she has to and she wants to, and he's like alone in the world and she's trying to protect him from her father. So what we're getting is really like an interesting perspective of someone who doesn't have a good relation. Well, they both don't have good relationships with their father, but there's a lot that Jessa is also projecting onto this child and his relationship with her father based on her own relationship with her father. And so she's, I think, trying to protect a smaller version of herself. It's all going to come to an end today. I'm going to listen to it at work, the last 100 pages. We'll see how I feel about it. I'm really hoping this will be a 5 stars. I have read that the last chapter and the afterword. First of all, Nat Cassidy's afterwards, I haven't talked about it with Mary, but in both Mary and Nestling, his introductions and his afterwards are like creme de la creme. Like, I love that he puts them in his books to talk about his feelings and his writing process for the novels. So apparently the last chapter and the afterword in this one made people cry. And it's people that I trust. And so if they cried, I feel like I'm going to cry. So we'll see how it goes today. So welcome to the end of the video, and let's get into my final thoughts for When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. And yesterday, basically, it was a casual Thursday night, and a bitch, as you saw, was fucking crying. The last couple of chapters of this book, they pulled me in, they made me sob, they made me feel things. Firstly, whoever marketed this book, I think, did so perfectly, because there's twists that occur throughout the novel that I had heard nothing about. Like, I was genuinely shocked by these twists, and it made the novel really interesting and thrilling to me because everything felt new. It didn't feel very close to the synopsis at all, or like the initial premise. And there's one specific twist that happens really early on that I like audibly gasped. Like I was like, oh my god, that changes everything for this book. Additionally, I think this is true for now all of the books I read from Cassidy. I think he does a really great job with his characters. They're so well rounded and they really make you care for them. Like, I cared so much about Jess and Kiddo, and maybe it's partly because I related to Jess as like this like messy, she sort of has her life path, but she could do better, but she's trying her best. So like I related to Jess. Plus, I have also a toddler, as you guys know. Jess's discussions and thought processes and her like need to protect this child from like the monsters that are chasing him was definitely coming to me at a pivotal time in like my motherhood journey. So like, did that affect me? Did that probably make me cry? Yes. Cassidy's discussions on like parenthood and like fatherhood specifically as well were fascinating and relatable. His author note about his relationship with his father was really impactful for me. Honestly, like, I've been so unlucky with favorite books this year. Like, it is May, and before this book, I had one other 5-star, and it was a book on tyranny. So it was more like a 5-star nonfiction just because it related heavily to like the state of the world. And so I'm so happy to have found one in this book, and that of course means that this was a 5-star as well. And I'm very happy that I did. this vlog because in general, I would say that this vlog was like pretty successful. So let's summarize our overall ratings because I'm genuinely like so happy, and this just confirms to me that Aardvark is a book box for me, and I'm genuinely going to enjoy the selections that they have. I realize my microphone is red, so if I lose like good quality in the next like 5 minutes, I'm so sorry. So first we had Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Wong, which I ended up giving a 3.5 stars. Still really enjoyed it. Still found it to be like the perfect mix between horror and sci-fi that I loved. And I'll say the same with Immaculate Conception, which I gave 4 stars to. Then Mary, we also had a 3.5 debut for that. And When the Wolf Comes Home, which I think was just the perfect book for me to read right now. And maybe if I read it any other year, I wouldn't feel this way, but an absolute 5-star smash. So what's the conclusion? I think I really like reading authors' debuts and their newest releases. I've always been someone who likes to read an author's entire bibliography rather than starting with their newest. And if I do start with it like by accident, I'll always try to go back to read from their previous works. So that was the case in this case, is that I picked these books for the book box and then bought their debuts so that I can focus on the debuts. Well, actually, Mary, I think I had before because I read Nestling for my Professor Kelsey's book club. My two co-hosts, Bobby and Justin, they don't have this anxiety in them where they have to read the author's like first published book before they can continue with this author. They don't have this anxiety. They forced me to read Nestlings. And so now I'm happy. I feel complete. I've read Mary. I've read a newest release from him, so I feel like more solid in like saying that I enjoy this author. And again, for the purpose of this video as well, to confirm whether Aardvark is a book box for me, I definitely think the answer is yes, because we've had definitely more smashes for Aardvark than we have misses. So that's it for this video. Please let me know down below if you are a part of any book box. Do you feel like they're worth it? Do you feel like they're not worth it? Have you read any of the books featured in this vlog? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Let me know. And if you would like to follow me on my reading journey, I always leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there, of course, given that they still exist. And of course, because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. It does wonders for my channel. It makes me feel really good. And that's it. I never know how to end these things, so I will see you next time. Okay, bye.